Do you regret getting involved with the Trump campaign?
I absolutely do not regret joining the Trump campaign. I think the Trump campaign was a historic campaign. I think that campaign probably changed history forever, especially modern American political history, and we're seeing the effect of a Trump presidency around the world today.
You, though, you personally, you committed a crime and you went to jail for it.
That's true. That's true, but that doesn't affect or negate what I was doing on the Trump campaign. I pled guilty to lying, and I explained the logic behind that decision. When you're looking at so many years in prison, mounting legal bills, being basically isolated from the world, and having prosecutors demanding insane things from you at I think 29 years old, that adds into the calculus of your decision.
What, you admitted guilt because you were young?
No, I didn't admit guilt, but I just want the world to
Well, you
understand.
did admit guilt.
Of course, I admitted guilt. I pled guilty. I went to jail for 11 nights over it. But there were many factors that went into that decision.
You've said you had street cred in prison because of your links to Donald Trump. Was it a bit of a hero's welcome then for you?
Let's remember where I was actually in prison. It was in Oxford, Wisconsin, which is a pleasant place in mid-America. 800 people live in that city. Most of them support the president, including most of the guards there. And I guess the inmates saw me as a bit of a political celebrity going in there. And I mean, these inmates, this isn't like the movies. I was in there with doctors, with lawyers, with businessmen who had either, conducted wire fraud or some sort of, white-collar crimes. I wasn't in there being attacked or fighting people. And so.
What did people say to you inside a prison?
I had a couple nicknames in there, and funny things like Pappy, and you're Pappy, you're the man, you're Papadop. Can you help me with my jail sentence? Can you talk to the president for me? I mean, there were some funny comments like that. When you get out, can you please tell the world about the situation here, with how inefficient it is?
What makes you think you deserve a pardon?
I never actually thought I deserve one, or I never had an expectation to deserve one. My lawyers are the ones who filed this pardon application because they believe that's in my legal interest as their client.
But you don't?
Do I deserve one? I simply want the world to hear my side of the story, to hear the truth, and whether the president ends up pardoning me or not, that's up to his discretion. It's his decision. If he gives me one, of course I would accept it. I'd be honored to accept it. But do I have an expectation? No. And am I hoping for one? No.
Do you think it feels a bit premature and perhaps naive so soon after you admitting guilt and serving time in prison? And this is in relation to communications about a foreign adversary, for you suddenly to be granted forgiveness by the President of the United States?
Well, I did not handwrite this pardon application. I have a great legal team who thinks it's in my interest to do that. So I guess the onus and the burden is on them for submitting it when they did, and they probably have a reason for submitting it when they did.
So is this book now just an elaborate way for you to try and walk back that guilty plea?
No, actually, before I even went to prison, I was actively and openly discussing withdrawing my guilty plea. That this was public knowledge for months, actually, before I even went to jail, because of the new facts that had emerged about my case recently that I did not know about at the time I pled guilty.
You say you're loyal to your country. You also say that the FBI asked you to wear a wire, but you said no. If you are a patriot, why wouldn't you want to help in an investigation into possible communications with a foreign adversary?
I'm not the professional. I'm not the intelligence operative. I'm not the investigator. I'm the person who's there to give the information for the FBI to conduct a thorough investigation and use their surveillance tactics, their ways and methods of finding out if what I'm telling them is credible or not.
The president has said that he believes that Robert Mueller acted honorably. You've described Robert Mueller's investigation as a hoax, but 34 individuals were charged and 3 companies. You think that represents a hoax, do you?
The basis and the foundation of the investigation were corrupted. And there's overwhelming evidence that explains why. And Congress now is holding new investigations into some of these people who conducted this investigation, who started this investigation. Many of the people have been fired. They're currently under investigation themselves, or they've been demoted from their former high positions they once had under the Obama administration. So do I think he conducted a thorough investigation? He certainly conducted a thorough investigation into me. He knew everything about me. Did he act honorably? I personally don't think he did.
What was it like when you spoke to Robert Mueller's team?
So imagine this. You're 29 years old. You're enjoying a wonderful vacation in Europe with your then girlfriend in Greece and Italy, and you're at the peak of your life. And then you are flying back to the United States where you're expecting a job, where I was expecting a job. And not with the White House, but with a news channel. And you're violently arrested at an airport. You don't understand what you're being arrested for initially. And you're then in front of a magistrate who's telling you you're looking at 35 years in prison without quite understanding your situation. You're then in front of a group of star prosecutors, the Mueller team. They're very intimidating. You don't want to get on the wrong side of these people. I certainly didn't want to. It was confusing.
Robert Mueller concluded there was no collusion, no conspiracy. That is good news for America. He was also able to charge those who had committed crimes. That's also good to see justice being done, isn't it?
If the investigation was justly started and the foundations were not corrupted, as now the president and his top allies in Congress are suggesting, and I am suggesting myself, I agree with you. But when an investigation should have never started in the first place, as the president's own lawyer stated yesterday, then justice, I don't think, was served. I think people's lives were destroyed in many ways.
Was yours?
I am not a victim. I'm a fighter. I am fighting back, and I have a beautiful life with my wife in California now, and we're focusing on many different projects, and I'm young enough to actually recover. Other people who are in their 70s and their 60s, like Michael Flynn or Roger Stone or some of these other people caught up in this, who have families already, they probably had the toll taken on them was probably irreparable and very damaging.